work on me showing you guys some of the creative process that goes into making videos. Of course, this is how I make my own video. However, you guys can also take this knowledge and apply to everything else that you do. So that is one of the main purpose of this. If you do maybe you do vlogging, or if you do things such as, well, other games, or even if you're trying to start a YouTube channel and you want to start playing games, then this will be one of those really amazing things to go by, and I hope this will all help you. Hey, how are you doing, Ian? Good to see you here. So one of the first things that I do whenever it comes to making videos for YouTube or things related to Warframe, and I'm using my notepad right here. The first thing that I do is I actually go into making the script. The script is very important for a lot of people because that helps you to stay focused and also ensure that you don't go away or divert your attention from what you're supposed to be doing. And that is very, very important. Example will be the video that I made today about the upcoming updates to Warframe. So in this situation, I read about the update in the forum posts, made sure I look at the important aspects of it, and after I looked at all of those, then I combined all the important points and I type them up into a notepad. And when you do that, you can type a whole page worth, and then you can just remove what is important, what is not important, and leave all the bullet points, and that helps you focus on a lot of this. Now, once you're done with the script, now you want to record your video because that will help you and guide you through what exactly you want to record. I use Shadowplay, so I'm able to record a lot of those Warframe gameplays. And after I'm done with that, done with recording that, then here's where the beautiful aspect of this comes in. And this is where I have videos where I actually import into Adobe Premiere. Now this is one of the really cool part about that, and I'm going to drag one of my recordings right here. This is a 7-minute long video, and I just drag that into Premiere right there. So, and I also drag that into the timeline. So while dragging this into the timeline, I have it split where you have the video part at the top, and then you also have the audio part at the bottom. For some of you, you can decide to turn down the volume on the audio portion, or you can do what I often do from time to time, which is unlink this part and then delete the bottom part. When I do that, that means when I hit play, all I have going on right now is the video aspect or the video portion of this without having some background audio going through. Now, the importance of this is because whenever I go back into this folder right here where I have all my audio, now this is my dialogue. This is my recording that I have recorded using Adobe Audition. And you can also use Audacity in this situation. So I'm taking this recording right now. Hey, how are you doing, Luke? So I'm taking this recording right now after I've deleted the audio that came with the video itself. So this way, if I play this audio, I'm able to have a clean voice instead of having the
that I have
audio
talked about
going in the background. So I'm going to play it and you guys can hear it.
was spoken about in the past video, and because of the sake of time, I will go ahead and just skim through them, and if anything does change about a lot of those items, I will let you know as well.
So as you guys can see right here, it is a little bit much different and also a lot much cleaner. Now with this, you can select the audio here and you will go and look to your top left, and you will see different tabs such as the effects control, the color, the audio mixer, and all those things like that. So when you select this, you can see the level, which in this case will reference how loud you want it to be. So in this situation right here, you can also set your you can toggle an animation for your keyframes where when you want it to be louder or lower, and that's one of the things that I do when it comes to things like this. Now, with all that put aside, the next thing that I often do in this situation is I actually go through the timeline. And when I go through each timeline and I have this video and I listen to the audio while I'm recording it, I'm clipping some of the pauses off because sometimes the pauses are too long or sometimes I make a mistake. So in situations like that, how you doing, Victor? And in situations like that, I actually go ahead and edit my audio a little bit. However, because I wrote that script at the very beginning, I don't have to do a lot of editing when it comes to the audio. And this is one of the things that you guys can take with you whenever you are planning on doing your own YouTube channel or you're trying to do a video for a presentation. So writing a script is very important because it helps you a lot. So in this situation right here, I clip a lot of those unwanted noises or unwanted silence. And once I'm done with that, now I have something called markers that I set. The markers are basically different locations within the timeline where I feel like certain things are supposed to go in. So let's say from this part right here all the way up to this part, this was my introduction. And then from this part all the way up to that part, I talked about one thing. So what I want to do in this situation right here is I want to go ahead and click right here so that marker for me. And that is very important because it lets you add bullet points or, kind of highlight where you need to add other animations or other videos. So that helps you in case you want to drag a clip in or a video in that is synonymous to what you spoke about in that timeline at that particular time frame. Then you know when to start and when to end. And that is very important to do. How are you doing, Vicencio? So that is very important to do, and that's one of the things that I do whenever I edit Warframe videos. Now, of course, after I finish doing all of those, I go, and the same thing applies for pictures, videos, other music. And when I'm done with that, I have that audio edited. I've clipped everything that I'm supposed to do. Now it's time to add background music. Some of you you may want to use background music, but background music is not always important. Now, in this situation right here, the important thing about background music, and one of the things that I've learned myself, yes, I will have this on YouTube. It will remain on YouTube. So one of the things that I do myself, and I've also learned about, is to make sure that my background music keeps the display of an emotion without overpowering the voiceover itself. A lot of times we get lost in the music. You want people to hear how majestic and how amazing the music is that it becomes so loud that people cannot hear what you are talking about. So in this situation right here, I often turn my audio to maybe around 5 to 6 decibels on the editing or effect control for the audio. And when it comes to my background music, I often set it to somewhere around -30. And the reason for that is because I want people to still be able to hear the audio while also still be able to hear the voice. And that is very important. Why are people watching your video? People are basically watching your video because of what you have to say, not because of the music you're playing in the background. If people wanted to listen to the music, they will go somewhere else. So that is very important. Now, I will play the audio for you, and you will hear what some of the major differences are with the background audio at -30 decibels and the voiceover at 6. So here we go. 2. Now that is just a guess, or it will be a different color of a Vomvalis that you will have to kill in order to max out each exact lore. So that is also something that is also possible for DE to do. Now, as you guys can see right there, that is a major difference. You can see that you can hear the voice and you can also still hear the music. Now, one of the things that you can also do, if you feel like you're already maxed out at the 6 decibels right here, but you still want it to be a little bit louder. So what you go is you go up here, right where we have the audio tab, you select that portion, it automatically opens the audio mixer for you. Now you look at what portion of the timeline your voiceover is. This one right here is at A1, which is the audio one. Now you just want to go there and you can make other changes as well. So I'm going to the audio mixer that references everything in the overall audio. and I can turn this to a 2. Remember, don't make it too loud because then it becomes crazy. So this way, even if all the audio in each specific layer doesn't have the same volume, let's say this one is 6 decibels and you have another clip that is 3 decibels, now you can adjust the volume of all of them at the same time, which is also important. So you can hear it right now again.
Of course, they're not given a literal explanation. They say we will find out ourselves. So I'm guessing when that update comes out, we will be able to see a lot of those.
So now you can see the major difference right here. The audio was a little bit louder, but not too loud to the point where it becomes terrible to the eye. One of the things that I also learned to do is to back away from the microphone as well. Whenever I do record some of this audio, it's a learning process, and I believe that I'm getting better with it. So that is a great thing to always and also understand. All that put in place. But do after you've completed all the editing, you've done all your transitions. Remember, transitions can be found in the effects tab. You've done your audio and video transitions, which are easy to approach. You just go in there, drag it to the end, drag it to the middle of a lot of these items. After you've done all of those, the next thing is going to be color grading. Some of these videos and some of these elements are as good as they are, while some of them are not. Situation, instead of editing each video by itself or editing each clip by itself, what you can do is you can use what is called an adjustment layer. So here's an adjustment layer. You can create one by just right clicking on the left side or at the top right here, and you will say new item and it will say adjustment layer. Now what I'm gonna do is drag this adjustment layer to the beginning of the entire clip and drag it to the very end. Of course, you can clip it off at the very end whenever you're done. Now these are things you add at the end of your video when you're done editing and you're just doing the final touches. Now remember, if you do have any other clippings at the top of this that has to be color accurate, you may want to put your adjustment layer at the very bottom of those. However, if everything has to be affected by your adjustment layer by the color grading, then you want to put it above it. So here is where the sweet part about that comes in. You go into color, and here you have your color wheels. Now in this situation right here, I often go to what is known as creative, and you have saturation, you have vibrance, and sharpen. In some cases, you may want to turn your sharpen to somewhere around, let's say 10. And this is while you have your, make sure you have your adjustment layer clicked, by the way. And then you want to turn your saturation to, let's say maybe 105. It's all based on your own personal preference. Now that will determine the amount of color that you have on the screen. Now the next one is going to be curves. Now I would suggest don't worry about touching the red, the greens, and the blues. Just focus on the whites, because what we're going to try to do here is try to balance some of the light versus dark variation. Now this is something that you don't have to use for every single clip, but it is something that will really improve your color quality in the future. So anything towards the bottom right here is going to be related to your shadows or the dark part, and anything at the top right here is going to be related to your light part or your lighting parts. So in most situations right here, to make the darks a little bit darker and make the lights a little bit lighter, basically creating contrast, what you want to do is you want to drag this down a little bit. Now you see that everything seems a little bit too dark and it seems a little crazy. Now you've done that dark part right there. You have that node over there. Now you want to go to the top part over here, and then you want to drag that up a little. Now, because you've been watching the entire process, you may not notice a change. But here I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Now, if you're looking at the image, this is with the color grading added to our adjustment layer. But if you turn it off, you can see the difference. It seems a little bit, faded and cloudy. But if you add the color grading, now it becomes a lot much vibrant and a lot much sharper. And this is all done by adjusting the curves and then adding some saturation and some sharpness. Now with the sharpen part, you can just turn it to maybe 5 and you will still get the same effect, but most of it goes into saturation and your curves. And that is the important aspect of it. So when you play the video, you will notice how smooth it is. And while the video is playing, I will toggle it on and off for you to show you what it looks
a
like.
lot of those items, and also the amount of resources required to craft a lot of these items as well. So I'm hoping for some of those to change and also improve. Now expect some amazing lore videos about these new eidolons very soon, and most especially the Hydralisk, so because that is going to be a very important one. Now
So as you guys can see, that is a major difference, a huge difference. Now with all that done, you've done your color grading, just the basic things, because at the end of the day, once you work with a lot of these tools from time to time, you will start developing your own skills and you will start getting and understanding a lot of these things. So remember, you can clip your video files. You can use this to cut it. Remember, any icon you highlight over, it will tell you what it is used for. And you can drag this here. You can separate a lot of those clips. You can join them back together. And like I said earlier, you can use your transitions and your video effects. However, at the end of the day, we have our adjustment layer for the color grading, and that will also work. Now, what you want to do at this stage, you already finished working on your video. Now it's time for you to add titles and some text layers. Now, this is also one of the things that, tells people what the video is about whenever they open up the video. So what you want to do is you want to save your video, your project file for this video right here. Save it under a name and under a folder that you will remember. And once you do that, then you can close it and then open your After Effects. Now for me personally, I use After Effects to create my graphics. Everybody doesn't do that. Some of you use other tools and some of you use some of the default ones from maybe Sony Vegas. It's all up to you. So as you can see, I'll have my After Effects opened up. So in this situation right here, I am going to use an example by using my template that I create for my intros. And this is very important for a lot of you. Templates are very important. The main reason templates are important is because it keeps you from recreating the entire process all over again, and that is very important. So in this situation right here, I have this slide playing through. And that says updates Shrine of Eidolons. So of course, I'm playing in real time and it's still basically loading some of the assets on it. So that is one of the things that you can see right there. And the good thing about this is that I can go into whichever composition that I have and I can edit a lot of those files. Now, if you do have any question about this portion right here, let me know because I will be able to break a lot of those down to you. Now you see, every time I want to make a video, I just come in and edit all this text. And once I'm done editing, I go into the pre-compose, the composition that I created, and then I just render that one. And that is a really cool and important thing about that one, because that way I can only swap things out and just render them every single time. Now, you can also create a lot of these titles using Photoshop and just having a still image that you can just fade in, fade out. So that is also a great thing. However, it is also quite important to have this Adobe After Effects tool right here to use to help you and also make your videos look really sharp and also makes it look really clean. Now, with all that done, one of the things I also want to talk about in this case will be what is known as a pre-compose. So what pre-compose does is basically whenever you create something and you're done with it and you don't want to touch it anymore, you want to move up to other things, you can highlight all of them and then just says, hey, pre-compose, which basically means it will combine all of them together, and then if you want to edit them, you will have to go into that file itself. So that way it will shorten the amount of layers you have on here, and it basically works like creating a folder. So that's what pre-compose is. Whenever you highlight all of them and you say pre-compose, it will turn them into a folder, and of course everything will be just few boxes left. So that is important to do in situations like this. So if you want to edit them, you can just edit them folder after folder instead of editing the entire thing all at once and having the risk of making mistakes. So now that all that is set right there, remember all these things are easy. There are several massive tutorials on different transitions and things like that. If you guys do want in-depth tutorial on that, I will explain that to you. But these are some of the creating process or the creative process of making the video. Now that I've made the title, I can now take this title and say, hey, I want to render this. So let's render Q. And then I want to go to the part where it says output modal, and I would just say channel RGB plus alpha. So this way I'm creating a video that has no background. And that is basically what I wanted to do. So that way I can just put it on any background and I will just have the text by itself. Now, of course, if you are using other softwares to edit your video, you can render as RGB and then, have this background and just chroma key or, use a screen setting for this background. And once you have that, you can upload it to wherever you want to upload it to. And then once that is done, you just click on render. Now, for me, rendering only takes about maybe 10 to 15 seconds. And once that is done, you can close that out and go back to your Premiere and then add this title right here on top of your video like I explained earlier. And with that all put aside, you can then render your video. Now, after I render each video, I go into my Photoshop and I do basically what is called creating a thumbnail. Creating thumbnails is very important, and I think that is also a big aspect of media creation. It tells people what they're looking for, and it also tells them what they can be expecting in the video. Basically, you want to create something that catches the eye and also has a lot of information. For me, I made sure I create everything using templates. Templates are very important. Once you create a template, you set a format, you set a standard. People know what your video looks like when they see your video. And also, that way, you can just drag and drop in any picture without having to change a thing. All you have to do is change the pictures and you're good to go. I can drag that picture out, put in another picture, drag that one out, put in another thing, drag that one out, put in another thing. So that way, I don't have to recreate every single thing every time I'm trying to upload a picture. So this is very important. Whenever you're doing thumbnails and you're using Photoshop, always create a template. The template will ensure that it doesn't take you that long to actually edit a lot of these things. Now, with all that said, I do have different filters that I use to make certain things maybe a little bit vibrant, make it a little bit, different, change the emotion behind each painting or each image. So that also helps me stand out as far as the template. And also the font. You want to make sure that the font is something that is interesting or maybe at least something that is easier to read. Now, once you have all that said and done, that will be your entire media creation process. That is just one of the basic things. Create a script. After you created the script, open Adobe Audition like the one that I use, or open Audacity, and then record your audio based on that script. You follow that script so it helps you and guides you through all the important points you want to talk about. Once you finish recording that audio, you check the audio, you listen to it to make sure that it sounds right. It sounds the way you wanted it to be. And after you've done all of those, then you can export the audio. After you've exported the audio, then you want to go and record your video. Recording your video could be using any software like Fraps or OBS or anything like that to record your gameplay, or record using your camera and things such as vlogging. And after you're done doing all of those and recording your video, then you want to import your video into Adobe Premiere. Once you get into Adobe Premiere, you want to start cutting your clips and editing your video within the timeline, how long it has to be, and then you want to add your audio that you recorded and put that underneath and then space it out. Once you're done with editing your video in Premiere, you can put that on pause, save it, go into After Effects, create your title. Once you create your title and your on-screen annotations, you save it, you export them, and then you want to import that into Adobe Premiere. Once you get into your Premiere again, you add all those items. Now it is time for you to render your video, because now you have your After Effects graphics, and then you have your video and your audio, and you have everything and your transitions put together in one place. While all of those is rendering, as soon as it is done and you're uploading, now you can go on into creating your thumbnails. You have your template. Now this way you can just drag in a picture that you took in from the game, or drag in a picture from the internet. So that way it doesn't take you up to 5 minutes to even create a thumbnail. All you have to do is to drag the picture in, change the text, and you are good to go. Now that is one of my creative process when it comes to basically creating a Warframe video on YouTube. This also can apply to vlogging or anything else that you might be interested in doing. So that will be it for this short stream. The next one that I will be doing today, of course, will be involving gameplay, and I will be playing some games. I will be playing some Warframe and other games as well, and show you guys some of the things that does go into that as well. Well, that's it for this video. For any one of you who joined for this short stream, thank you very much for being here. I will have this video on here on YouTube, and you can watch it whenever you want it. That's it for this video. Thank you very much once again, and you have a wonderful day.